Hi, I'm Stacey, and welcome to Beyond the Mic. This is a space where we dive deep into the moments, stories, and breakthroughs that shape who we are and who we're becoming. Together, we'll explore personal growth, mental health, and the motivation you need to create lasting change. This is more than just a podcast. This is your moment to break free, rewrite your story, and step boldly into the life you've always dreamed of. It's time to stop holding back, to rise, to thrive, and to transform. Let's go beyond the mic. So today we have a very special guest. She is an entrepreneur here in El Paso, and she's a 2025 Remarkable winner.
I still can't believe it.
Crystal Cholewa.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. It's exciting.
Thank you so much for being here. I feel like after you got the award, maybe life has been feeling like so fast.
Yeah.
With having to be in different places and all that. How do you feel?
So excited. And it's building momentum. All of a sudden, more people are interested in the gym and more people are buying the meals and they're coming back and they're saying, hey, are you still cooking meals? Because I need some. And so that's really cool. So that momentum, I'm just running with it. I'm super excited for it.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad that you made some time because I know you're busy. But I don't know, so people can get to know a little bit of your story of how you started. I don't know if you want to share what you did to start Extreme Core Fitness and what led you to make that jump in entrepreneurship.
Okay, well, it's an interesting story because I was a high school teacher, which is how you found out about me, right? Through one of my students. I was a high school teacher for 11 years. And during that time, I was very overweight. So I had gotten pregnant. My baby was already 4 years old, and I still had all the baby weight. And I thought, like, he was 8 pounds. Shouldn't I be at least 8 pounds thinner? But that was
I think that's common.
right. That was not the case. And so I was really struggling trying to get it off. I wasn't happy in my own skin. I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like the way I looked. And I would try different things. I would try running on my own and things, and it just wouldn't work. And one of my teacher friends said, hey, there's these group fitness classes at EP Fitness. Let's go try one. And I was like, no, I don't want to look dumb. Like, people can see there's a window, and I just don't want to look dumb. And she says, come on, just try one with me. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go, and I loved it. Like, I so fell in love with group fitness because you don't have to figure out, how do I work out? What should I work out? The instructor does it all for you. There's other people there with you. And I just had the best time. So then I started going regularly. And there was this one instructor, her name was Luz, and we just loved her. Like, we hated her because she kicked our butts more than anybody else, right? And she would only give one class a week on Mondays, and there was a line for her. And we would all be like, what is she going to make us do today, And I was heavy and out of shape and in the back of the class, like, huffing and puffing. And she was like, all right, class, we'll start counting when Crystal picks up her weights. And everyone looks at me like, let's go. And I'm like, I can't breathe. How does she know my name?
But I'm all the way on the back.
Right? What is happening?
I should find out.
So I was like, okay, I guess I should go. So then pretty soon that was the push I needed and the inspiration I needed to keep going, keep pushing. So then I was at the middle of the class. I had dropped some weight and then kept dropping the weight. And then pretty soon I was at the front of the class with her with all this energy. And then she quit. She left. And I was like, who's going to push me like she does? Like, I need that. I need the class to be hard like that. Like, I liked it, right? And so then that's when the thought came, well, what if I get certified? What if I give a class or two, right? Well, at the time, I was going through a very painful divorce, so the depression was setting in quite a bit. It was a lot harder for me, and then I thought, well, I didn't want to lose my house. My son was already going to go through some pretty big changes. And so I thought, well, if I give 1 or 2 classes a week, it'll kind of give me just a little extra to survive okay. And I can keep my house and just keep going.
And you were still a teacher?
Yeah, so teaching, right.
Teaching while doing...
Mm-hmm. And while giving classes. So I would teach all day, pick up my son from daycare, take him to my mom's or at the daycare there, depending, and then give the class and then pick him up, take him home, do homework, shower, bathe him, get him to bed, because he was still pretty little at the time. Yeah. So then that happened. I got certified, ended up giving 6-7 classes a week.
Oh, wow.
So poor baby, poor Brendan, he was like always at the gym, right? But it's, now that I look back, you need that time to yourself. I know it feels guilty as a parent to work all day and then still want to take an hour for yourself, but you need it. And, that way when you do spend time with your kid, it's quality time.
Yeah.
And it's a little more special and because it's more limited, but made it work. And so with the 6 extra classes a week, I started paying stuff off. So I paid off my credit cards, I paid off my car, and then that's when it hit. And I got home one day and I was like, son, I have an idea. And so now whenever I say that, he's like, oh God. And then now when I say that to the members of the gym, they say, oh God. I'm like, I see a recurring theme here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, son, I want to open my own gym. And he was like, cool. He didn't really, when I first told him, I think he was like 7 of just the idea.
But I think that's still an age where they're little, but they understand, so.
Yeah, well, poor kid. Because let me tell you, so then for 3 years I saved every penny. I didn't do any big purchases. I just would save because I had paid everything off, right? So I saved enough, and then I started going to banks to see if they would give me the loan. So I had this whole business plan written out. Now, mind you, I have 0 business experience, or had at the time. 0. Didn't even take a business course in college. My degree's in biochemistry. I taught biology, I taught chemistry, I taught medical microbiology. Nothing to do with business.
But I think it's something to applaud to you, because I feel that sometimes our mindset's so much, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get an education, then I'm going to have a job, and then I'll be in my job for so many years, and then I'll retire.
Yeah.
And you have something quote-unquote stable, and then for you to take that leap, it's like, it shows so much bravery, because nobody does it like just like that. And you were by yourself with your son, you feel like all responsibility goes on you. So
yeah, because if I didn't make it, like what would? So I kept teaching, because they all said, like, you better keep your teaching job just in case. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but why? Because then I have to make payroll, and if I would just quit, and they were like, don't do that. And I was like, okay, let me try it like this. So I finally opened in 2015. Now, there's a lot of stories behind that. It's how hard it was to even open. All the banks told me no. I would get them so excited because my eyes would light up and the fire inside me. I would have given my left kidney to get the money to open this, right? So they would be all excited, and then they'd call me and they'd be like, Miss Cholewa, I'm so sorry, but they denied it. And I was like, okay. So then I tried another bank and another bank and another bank. Finally, somewhere along the line, I got referred to like something called Lift Fund, and it was more of a like nonprofit that helps startups, because banks won't do startups really. Okay. If you have no collateral, if you have 0 business experience, if you have nothing, they're not gonna. Mm-hmm. So then I tried the startup. Well, then they said no, and they said, but don't say anything. There's another startup that's starting up. It's called People Fund. They're in Austin. They're trying to get to El Paso. Try them. I said, okay. So I told my son, baby boy, this will be the last one I try. If they say no, we'll get the money I saved, we'll go to Paris. Well, he's still waiting on the Paris because they said yes. They said yes.
Are looking forward to something.
Right? So they said yes, but so much I didn't know. They said yes to an equipment loan. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use that to get the equipment. Well, that's fantastic. But there's also, the landlord wanted, I needed to put in bathrooms, and the landlord was like, that's on you. And I was like, sure. I did not understand what that meant. The equipment is great, but then you need the flooring, you need the mirrors, you need the paint, you need the, and then expensive. Just to start up as far as payroll, nothing's coming in yet. And you're going to have to start paying so much that I had taxes, when to file, what to file. And I thought, I don't have the money to pay it, so I'm just not going to file. Oh, no, always file. Because they'll penalize you even more if you don't file. So they'll penalize you less if you can't pay just yet, but at least file. So just little things that I had to learn the very, very hardest of ways. But yeah, I Forrest Gumped my way through that. And so opened in 2015, which will be 10 years coming up soon. I technically got the keys in April, but I didn't open for business until October, so I do want to have a very big party for then. And then in 2019 was the crossroads of, okay, I either leave the gym because it's not making it on its own. So I either have to leave it and continue teaching, which I didn't want to do, or leave my stable insurance and paycheck and dive completely into the business. And it was one of the hardest choices I had to make. And again, I'm a single mom, and my ex-husband didn't at that time have anything to do with my son. So I was completely alone, completely. And I said, okay, I'm gonna make the jump. And there were little signs. I was looking for signs. I was praying about it. I was, I was scared out of my mind. Because there was no fallback. Like, I can't just go to someone and be like, all right, I messed up. Can you get me out of this or help me out? It was, you either figure it out or you figure it out. Yeah. There's no other. And so I did. I find the kids were just getting worse and worse, and the discipline was horrible, and the administration was, I had one of the worst admins I'd ever have, and he was really on me to, that it was my fault these kids are failing, and what am I doing? And I'm like, I'm teaching. Like, I'm doing everything I can. And so it was little signs that it was like, Crystal, just go for your dream. Just do it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, a lot of worse things can happen, but
yes,
just do it. So I did. I left teaching, and
were your parents or your family supportive of the decision, or did you?
Well, my mom. So I only have my mom, and she was scared for me. She was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this?" So more scared for me. But, I'm not gonna blame her for it. She was just looking out for me, whereas now my mindset is very different, but because of everything I've been through. Yes. Now it's like, go for your dreams. It's your one life that we know of. Like, what are you going to be miserable in your job and then just retire and you're already too old to enjoy anything anyway?
Exactly.
Like, through all the ups and downs, and there have been quite a few downs. I mean, the stories I can tell you. But I don't regret it. I've learned so much. When you get out of your comfort zone and you do something that you don't know how to do and you have to figure it out on the way, not only do you learn like skills, right? But you learn so much empathy. I see so many posts and stuff, and people will just rag on businesses or business owners, and I'm just like, it's because you don't know. And I don't get mad at them. I don't hold anything against them. They just don't know. And so the empathy that I have, the understanding of the way things work, I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yes. Were you scared what people might think of what you were doing, or
you
were so focused on like, okay,
I've never been one to care about what anybody thinks. That's never been a problem.
That's really good.
Luckily, like, drama does not follow me at all. Like, people that try to come, like, they fall off really easily. The group of people that I have, and it's taken a lot of work. So during COVID, I had to really pivot everything, right? So one, I had to deal with the closures and all of that. I rented out the cycling bikes and took them in Josie's little dad's truck to people's houses and gave classes virtually. I mean, I did everything I could to stay open.
Yes.
But then I realized I did have to pivot, because with so many other gyms popping up, what do people really need? Because there's all these gyms popping up, but they're not, except for Planet, because my nemesis, they have a pretty brilliant business model. But other than them, a lot of other gyms struggle. I mean, the EP Fitness that I gave classes at when I first started is closed. And so my son is like, Mom, like, you beat out, like, you're still standing. Yes. I'm like, I know, that's crazy. But I had to look at, what do people need? How can I be of better service? What can I do more for my community? And the biggest thing is mental health. Like, especially after COVID, mental health went, and nobody knows how to talk about it or knows how to deal with it. And from everything I've learned and I've studied and I've seen and I've observed and I've experienced, when you combine physical activity with a whole focus and concentration on a more positive mindset, and you combine those two, that's the key right there. So now it's just getting the word out there as far as how I'm different, what I'm doing that's different. And in this journey of having to navigate through including mental health into my different programs, I've had to learn a lot and I've had to grow. So it's all about believing what you're worth and understanding how capable you are of doing so much.
Yes.
So I have this real special gift of helping people see how beautiful they are, how magical they are. And I host these classes on Saturdays called Mental Health Saturday Cycling. They're free for the whole community, so please join me.
Yes.
But they're at 8 a.m. Now. They do get full. Like, I think for this Saturday, there's one bike left, but by tonight, it'll be taken.
Yeah. You have to sign up?
You have to sign up,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's really cool. You reserve your bike. That way, you don't just show up and, oh, there's not a bike.
Yes.
You know ahead of time. And there's a wait list. You can put yourself on the wait list. But that class is so beautiful because I've learned, if anything, be who you want to attract. So I see a lot of people, somehow the people that come to me have been hurt or betrayed, or, they just don't trust people. And so I explain, you have to be what you want to attract. Mm-hmm. If you want to attract good friends, like loyal and non-judgmental, then that's what you have to be. Mm-hmm. So I have this amazing community, mostly women. Some of their husbands do work out on the other side, but they're super supportive of all of us. And there's just so much love and so much support and encouragement. And I sit back and I look and I think, wow. I mean, it took a lot to create all this, but I thank God every day that I get to experience this. It's incredible.
Yeah. And how you rented out the bikes during COVID, and what other change did you make?
So that was the big one. I applied for every grant that I could. Luckily, I'm part of on the advisory committee of the Women's Business Border Center. Mm-hmm. Now, the director is Mary Helen L. Dice, and actually she's just going to be, she just got, I guess, promoted to run the whole thing interim because the main director had to step down. So, but she's amazing. So she would see that a grant opened up and she would call me. The director would call me and be like, Crystal, apply for this. Yes. And I would tell my son, the director of this huge, like, how does she have time to call little old me, And she would call, so I would apply. And so as soon as I would get the grant and I would figure out how to stay open, it was really hard because they shut us down completely. Mm-hmm. I had to pause all memberships. That was no money. There were a couple of people that would say, Crystal, just go ahead and charge me anyway, which was a huge blessing. But it was very few people that did that, So, because they were struggling too. Not that I faulted anyone. Some lost their jobs and then there was that. Like, a lot of people did lose their jobs and came to Crystal, I have to cancel. I had to stack this thick of cancellations. It was rough. So that was one pivot, applying for grants and looking for every possible resource that I could find to help. And then doing the virtual classes, my son would give, because the kids didn't have PE anymore.
Okay.
So I have videos of him like in the living room with my laptop for the camera, and we would be on Zoom, and he had like at most probably 6 kids that he would do exercises with. Yeah. And he was probably 13 at the time, and he would do that for me. So there was that. I still had the meal prep kitchen, but that also, I would think that would thrive at this time because people were home but people were home, so they were like, oh, I can cook. So that was really tough. So the meal prep kitchen, I almost had to shut it down for a little bit because it just wasn't doing well. Then the focus came on, let's focus on mental health a little bit, so that I think that's what people need. And so I created these 6-week programs that not only help you lose weight, because it comes with the physical part, the classes, it comes with a personalized meal plan, it comes with the accountability of me being on you to make sure you have to send a picture of what you eat before you eat it. Like, I am on you to make sure you're following this thing. So not only does that make you successful, but then if you look at people that have like the gastric bypass or are taking like the Ozempic and stuff, they'll lose the weight. The second they either get off the pill or a few years after the surgery, they gain it back. And that's because they didn't take care of whatever was here that's making them gain the weight.
You know what I've noticed? sometimes when people struggle with weight throughout their entire life, I don't know, when they're little or when they're in teenage years, and then they became so focused, I need to lose it, and they lose it, and they have beautiful bodies, they're gorgeous, beautiful, handsome. I don't know whether you're a man or a woman. But mentally they're the same person. And it's they cannot see
they go through body
selves,
dysmorphia.
Yes,
body dysmorphia
so
is huge. And but it's a lot of identity too. If you are working on yourself physically only and you don't take care of the mental part of it, well, then it's like a thermostat. Ed Milet says this: if you have your thermostat at 70, and you hit that, you're at the body that you want and you're doing great. Well, if you don't adjust your identity, then you're going to self-sabotage in some way. And I see that a lot. I see that more in men. They tend to self-sabotage a lot more than women, but we do it too, to an extent. And so it's making sure you're also taking care of that mental part. So that's why in my programs, I include, like, for the 6-week program, I call it like a self-discovery journey. So every evening there's a question, things about, like, what are your core values? Because when's the last time you sat and thought, I think about it all the time because I'm in this space, but most people don't have time. They have their kids, they're bathing them, they're homework, they're taking them to soccer practice, they're working, and even if they're not, they'll sit and watch TV. There's no push to reflect on your core values, So I love this, that every evening, and it took me a lot of research to put this together. Like, I did a lot to put this together, but people love it and they thrive on it. They do really well. So the first 2 weeks, it's a simple question, getting to know you. And it's not so much me getting to know you, it's you getting to know you. Especially through life changes. I get women in their 50s that now they're empty nesters. Well, empty nesters, which I just became, it's a whole identity shift also, because for so long,
I cannot
enjoy your babies.
I think about it all the time, and I think, and I'm so sorry for interrupting, but once I became a mother, a lot of things changed the way that I perceived my mom. I appreciate it a lot more, and whether I agreed on things or not, I could understand at least. And I tell my husband all the time that I want to be a good mom to where I make them independent enough for them to just fly and be whatever they want to be. But me thinking that one day I want them to not need me, but whenever they don't need me, it's gonna, like, break my heart completely.
It's rough. It is one of the hardest things. And I'm a recent empty nester. My son swore that he would live with me till he was 30. And then he turned 19 and he was like, I'm gonna go live with my girlfriend. I'm like, what happened here? Like, when did this happen?
My son, he still sleeps in my bed. He's 7. And me and my husband were talking, and I told him, I think it's time for him to just sleep on his bed, because the weird thing is that he's always slept on his own bed up until, like, recently. So, like, it was backwards. Like, he started independent, and now he wants to sleep with us. So I told him, okay, like, let's put him, like, in his own room, like, maybe in his bed with us, like, next to our bed, but now his bed on his room. And so I had this conversation, and when I was having a conversation with my son, like, I could just see him, like, tearing, and then he's like, but I want to be with you. I'm like, I know, baby, but you're older, you have to. And then all of a sudden, like, he just, puts his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, don't worry, Mom, I'll leave when I'm 18.
Oh my God, that little kid.
I didn't know if I wanted to cry or laugh. And so I looked at my husband and I was like, you know what? He can leave whenever he wants to. Like, one day he's going to make the decision on himself. But they're liars. Like, he's not going to do it.
Yeah, no. That's what I always, Brendan always slept in his own bed. And when he was older, like 16, I'm like, son, come sleep with me. He's like, nope, you always make me sleep alone. I'm going to sleep. And I was like, man, that bit me in the butt. But no, I'm glad I gave him the wings to fly. It hurt you, it changes your identity, because once you become a mom, then your whole identity is mom.
Yes.
You do everything. You bathe them, you care for them, all the homework and all the stuff, and your needs aren't met. It's your kids first, whatever they need, and whatever you need, too bad. And then they leave, and then you're like, what is happening here? So through each stage of our life, where our mindsets are going to change, and hopefully, right, we're not going to be the same person every year. Someone that goes through life living the same year after year after year, it's not a life. It's you're just going through the motions. You're on autopilot. And I see that a lot, and it's sad. And I try to set the example for, let's always be growing. Let's always be learning. Let's do fun stuff. So we go on hikes together. We, the gym is my family. The people there are my family. They're the loves of my life. I adore them. Each one of them. I tell them I have the very unique privilege of getting to know each of you very personally, as they start this program, because they share a lot with me. And I don't take it for granted. I'm very grateful for it. But I get to know each one of them individually. And so to inspire them to grow, let's all grow together. Let's be better together. I think better together is a big thing, because a lot of people, when they get depressed, they want to isolate. And they just don't want, they don't trust people, someone hurt them, and they just want to be by themselves. But that's not going to bring out the best in you. And you need to heal. And you need to heal so that you can be the best we need each other. We absolutely need each other. I think if that wasn't learned through COVID, something's wrong. That's something we should have learned. So I'm always like #better together.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's beautiful what we just said, and it seems like Extreme Core is not just about working out. There's something deeper. And what do you think makes your space different from other gyms, A lot. So when you walk in, you'll feel it. You'll just instantly feel the energy. You'll be loved there. It's not, like I said, drama doesn't follow me at all. So women that aren't, and to each their own, right? But to women that aren't in the place in their lives where they want to support someone else, where it's encouraging, where it's not about what you're wearing or at all. It's about, this unity, this being better together. And so the people that come to the gym that don't have that mindset, they leave. And the people that are yearning for that connectedness, then they fit right in. The people that didn't feel like they fit in anywhere else just feel at home here. And so that's what I've built. I've built this place where it's home to people, and they're comfortable, and because my people will hear that, and they'll say, she said comfortable, because I'm always all about get out of your comfort zone. If they wear big baggy shirts, I get very upset, and I'm like, get out of your comfort zone, wear something tighter. And they're like, but I'm comfortable in this. Nothing grows if you're comfortable. Nothing grows. So let me correct that real quick, because they'll get on me right away. I'm not comfortable in the sense that they're not growing, but feel at home, feel it's a safe place to share whatever is bothering them. Because if we bottle that up, that's what causes cancer. That's what causes all these illnesses, because people are just constantly bottling up their emotions or in this negative mindset. And so here you have the opportunity to share, to grow, to learn from each other. And so it's this amazing space that it's not just a gym where you go. I remember one lady, she calls me and she goes, I'm looking for something. I don't know. I go to this one gym, and I won't say the name, but nobody even says hi. Nobody even smiles at me. She goes, is your gym like that? I said, no, ma'am. I said, this is very different here. And so now she's been with us almost a year, and she just loves it. In the mental health Saturdays, I get very spoiled by these people. These people are constantly telling me how much I've helped them, how much they love it here. I mean, they spoil me. And so she's one that she's like, I love it here. I love that I come in, everybody hugs me, everybody's so welcoming. All the instructors I have are phenomenal. My front desk girl, she's 18.
Now, how many people can say that an 18-year-old, usually they have very negative things to say about kids that age. This kid is amazing. She is so beautiful inside and out, and she just has blossomed there. And, she is a little shy at first, or she'll come out off as a little shy, but she's not. She has so much to offer and so much to give, but she says that this place just lets her. It allows you, again, gives you the opportunity to grow and to love and to let go of all the hurt and we do this little exercise during mental health, and a part of it is think of someone that hurts you, and we're going to send them good vibes. And so this is hard. Work up to someone that's really hurt you. Start off with just someone that cuts you off in traffic or something, because you have to, once you understand perspective and you grow a little. It takes a while, in your 20s, you're still figuring stuff out. Your 30s, you're still figuring stuff out. The 40s is where I myself have experienced, and I've seen in other women, that's kind of when you finally kind of things start to click a little more. In the meantime, you're just doing research, right?
Yeah.
But when you start realizing perspective and somebody that hurt you, they might, one, not even know they hurt you. Two, they might not even have done it intentionally. Now, there are people that are mean and hurtful, and they did do it intentionally. Well, but then you have to look at their past. What have they been through? How have they been hurt?
And it's never personal.
Right. It's never. You shouldn't take things personally because you have no idea what's going on in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start gaining that perspective, and I do this a lot in the class, I draw a 6 figuratively, and I say these guys on this side will see a 6, but these guys will see a 9.
Mm-hmm.
And who's wrong? Neither. It depends on where you're standing. And it's the same thing in life. You can't see through someone's eyes fully because you've never walked in their shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with this, I tell them, someone that hurts you, you have to understand that maybe they just weren't at their best.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, a million things. So when you're ready, you have to genuinely let that hurt go and send them, I hope you are happy, I hope you are healthy, I hope you feel safe, I hope you feel loved. And we do that exercise with different people, but one of them is to someone that hurts you. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot about healing and feeling safe. And that's, I think, what separates me from anywhere else.
And how do you create that culture? Because right now when I go to the gym right now, I need that place.
It takes a while, but it takes a lot of work. I had to do a lot of work on myself. I had to immerse myself in positivity. I had to, and it started, when I was teaching through the depression. So it also happened because I've been through the depression. I've been through dark places just very dark places, right? And so being able to have the empathy for others that are going through that, and having gotten myself out of that, and how I got myself out of that, now it makes me the expert to help others. So many people, luckily I've never suffered with any kind of drug abuse or anything. I grew up watching a couple people in my family deal with that. And so I would see that. I would see them overdose right in front of me. And I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's not the prettiest sight. Mm-hmm. And so seeing that at a young age was actually pretty awesome, because I would see that and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to be me. And so I've never had a drug addiction problem, but oftentimes people that have those problems that, go through horrible things, they don't understand that gives them the best place to help others. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes they think, oh no, I'm not worthy. I was a drug addict, or I was this, or I was that. And they think, well, that disqualifies me. No, that qualifies you more than anything else, right? Mm-hmm. So going through the depression and dealing with all that, going through my weight loss journey, dealing with all that qualifies me to help others. And so I do. And again, doing the work myself. So a big thing is, my main core values is, one, be coachable. You have to be willing to always learn. Like anyone that I meet, I know I'm going to learn something from you. You could be half my age, you could be twice my age, you could be homeless on the street. I can learn something from you. And if we can all approach each other with that mindset, imagine how much better things would be. Instead of, oh, I know it all. Oh, I thought that when I first graduated college. And then I went to grad school. And then I was like, I know nothing. I don't know anything about anything. You know?
And you know what? The more you know, I've realized that the more I research, the more that I'm open to learning, is the more I realize that I know nothing.
Know nothing.
You know, it's just like, there's so much.
And that is a good mindset. So my first one is be coachable. My second one is follow through. And that's what the advice I can give to you as a parent. That's the only, like if I would write a parenting book, it would have the 2 words, follow through. That's it. Because you could be, you're at Walmart or Target and the kid's throwing a fit and you're like, just wait till we get home, right? And then you get home, well, you're not mad at the kid anymore. Well, okay. So the kid learns, I can get it. Kids are super smart.
Yes.
So you follow through. If you tell that kid you're going to punish him, how and whatever means, you better follow through. And if you say, hey, I'm going to take you to the park on Saturday, you better take that kid to the park on Saturday. Like whether it be a negative or a positive, follow through. And that's with everything, because how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So my second core value is keep your word. If you say you're going to do something, I mean, someone better be dead if you're going to break that. So that's very important to me. And the third is leave everything and everyone better than you found it. So I try my best to pour into people, always. A stranger off the street, just, you never know that they just needed that smile or they just needed some sort of positive something, because life is just kind of pooping on them, you know. So always try to pour into people and leave people better than you found it.
I love that. And what do you wish more people understood about what it really takes to transform physically and mentally?
The work. So I'm going to take a pill. I'm going to tell you that right now, that it'll mask it, but it won't take care of anything. And so it's putting in the work. You have to it's not just what you eat physically. That's a big part of it. Huge. Like don't eat hot Cheetos.
Red dye.
That red dye. Oh my God. But it's not only what you eat, again, which is a big part of it, but it's who you surround yourself with. If you're constantly around negative people and chismes and you're talking bad, and this person, stop, like get away from that. Immerse yourself in. So I listen to a lot of podcasts that inspire me and motivate me. And I listen to that constantly. And I'll send people, I'm like, listen to this one. This is a good one. And they'll be like, I didn't have time. Well, I don't have time either. But if I'm in the shower, or if I'm driving somewhere, you can make the time, fit it in. So immerse yourself in these. There's so much knowledge and resources now, with YouTube, and there's no excuse. Yeah. There's no excuse.
You don't know anything. You don't know how to change the tire. You don't know, just
it's YouTube. We're in such a cool era right now. Of course, you can see the negative and like younger girls and what they have to deal with social media. Like that's something I didn't have to deal with. But find the good, find the positive. Exercise is going to give you an outlet to release whatever is bothering you. Because if you're walking around and you're always mad and you're always just always feeling like either someone's always constant picking on you, or you're picking on them, or you're constantly fighting with your kids or your spouse, or you need to take care of you. It's accountability. Don't be blaming that on other people. So for my mental health class, the first activity that we do is I tell you, whatever's weighing heavy on your shoulders, whatever is keeping you up at night, whatever's bothering you, you have to give it the space. Because if you just bottle it in, it's going to eat you alive. So give it the space. Be angry. Get angry. We have things to be angry for. Get angry. Let it go off on the bike. Now, I usually play a super fun song, and it's really hard to be angry when I'm playing a super fun song, but try. Try to get mad and just let it out. And so people need to understand that they have to do the work. They can't just sit or take a pill and wish it away. You have to exercise, do physical exertion. You have to always pick the harder road. Take the stairs. Don't take the elevator. Like, do hard things, because that's what's going to make you proud of you. And people don't, their self-image, the self-love, it's missing in a lot of people.
And what do you think, what do you see is holding women back the most from chasing their dreams, or owning their own power, or just following through?
So much. Lack of a mentor, lack of an example. That's one. Being scared just of failing, or of what if. That was one thing when I was trying so hard to open the gym that every bank was telling me no. That's about the time when Facebook started to get more popular, and there were all the memes. And I remember this one, it was like, I don't know, like a kid or a young girl, and she's looking at Jesus, and she said, but what if I fail? And then he says, oh my darling, but what if you fly? Yeah. And it's a constant, you have to remind yourself, and sometimes you're going to be your only support system, you're going to be your only fan, and you have to remember these things. Put them, like, write a sticky note and put them in different places. But my darling, what if you fly? Because you can. Now, it's not going to be easy, but the more you fall, the more you learn. And that's the other thing. People are afraid of failure. Failure just shows you, okay, that's not the way to do it. Let's try another way. Okay, that's not the way to do it. Let's try another way. I'm on, like, plan, on an Excel spreadsheet, when you run out of A through Z, it starts double A, double B. Yeah. I'm, like, on quadruple X or something. It's been, I would get, sometimes my son, and he didn't mean to, but I'd be like, I have this great idea. He's like, you always have great ideas, and they never work. Well, thank you, son. But I keep trying, right? God, I love it. But you have to just not, and it's scary. I'm not going to say I wasn't scared. I was scared out of my mind. I would freeze with fear sometimes, and it's just telling yourself, come on. But that's where, I listened to Bedros Keuilian. He was my savior for a lot of it. Anytime I was super struggling, I didn't know how to go on, he just always had something inspiring to say to me. Ed Milet is a huge one. I use him a lot for my Saturday classes of what to, like, get myself in the proper mindset and what to share with people. It's finding these people, and it doesn't have to be someone because in my family, I don't know anyone that went out and did what I do, like just leave their job and start a business. I have a younger cousin now that went out and started a business, but she's much younger than me, so I was like the first one to do any of this. And so it's about believing in yourself, which is really hard to do at first, but the key to believing in yourself is to keep your promises to yourself, which as a mom is really hard because we'll keep promises to everyone else before we keep one to ourselves. Yeah. And so it's learning to do that. It's learning to do the work, to meditate, to do these, like, grateful practices, to learn to be grateful. I remember through my depression, that was the start. When I was sitting there crying and feeling sorry for myself and pity party. And I look around and I have this beautiful house. I have this beautiful child. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, God. I'm so sorry that I was taking so much for granted. And just because my life didn't go the way I had planned it to go, that I just threw a big old fit. I'm sorry. And that started changing. And then the kids, because I would get 30 kids a class times 8 classes, like that's a lot of kids a day. Yeah. And they would drive me nuts, and the next class, the bell would ring, and the next class would come in, and I was just in a bad mood. And I'm like, okay, I need to change something here, because this isn't going to work for me either. So I started, when they would come in, I'd be like, hi, my huggable honeybees, how are you doing today? Hello, my amazing aardvarks, or just something stupid that alliterated, right? My beautiful bumblebees. And I remember at first they were like, why are you saying that? I'm like, I don't know, just roll with me here. But you know what I noticed is we're a lot like Pavlov's dog, so that bell would ring, and if that last class like just drove me nuts and I was like at my wit's end, that bell would ring, the next class would come in, and it was automatic. Hello, my huggable honeybees, how are you doing today? And it resets your mind. And so it's learning those little tricks of how to get yourself out of that mindset. And the first part is just first realizing your thoughts, like, oh, that's a negative thought. Don't even worry about making yourself think of positive. No, just first realize it. Yeah, that's a negative thought that I'm having. Mm-hmm. And you start from there, and you start listening to these people, and they start helping you just think more positively. Because, so you ready? This is kind of cool. Okay, I was a biology teacher, right? And so for years you learn, and I've taught the kids, you go from DNA, which is your genes, your genetic information, then that creates a molecule called RNA. RNA will make the protein. The protein makes you who you are, right? So for a lot of things, it's genetic. We can't help it, right? Like, I want blue eyes, but I don't have blue eyes, right? Now, oddly enough, I have the gene for blue eyes because my son has blue eyes. So I have the gene for it, but I don't express it. Yeah. Well, how much more is like that? So I was listening to this guy, I think his name was Wayne Dyer, and he's a physicist. And he said, that's the central dogma of biology. We go from DNA to RNA to protein. Now, DNA is this long molecule, and sections of it are called genes. So when the cell gets a signal, that gene will open up so that protein can be made. It's like a recipe book, right? So if we want to make lasagna, we go to the page that has the recipe for lasagna, we make lasagna. But there's a ton of recipes in the book, right? Same thing. Now, what tells you to go to that page of lasagna? It's a signal that, hey, I want to make lasagna. Well, to make that protein, your environment has to send a signal to the cell that, hey, we need this protein made. That's the key that I never saw until I listened to this guy. Because what happens is, if you're constantly negative and you're always looking for the negative and you're always thinking negatively, your cells are used to being bathed in those chemicals. So it's norepinephrine, it's the cortisol, it's the negative chemicals. So then you're creating your own hell. You are responsible for your thoughts. You are creating that same thing, that same feeling over and over. So when you start to realize that and say, I have the power, I can change how I think, I can change how I feel. It starts with me. I don't have to count on anyone for happiness. It starts with me. Now that is where the magic starts to happen. And that's when you start seeing your thoughts and you're thinking, this is a negative thought. It's going to cause me to create cortisol. I don't want to do that. Let's shift it. Let's start thinking positively. Then your cells start creating epinephrine and serotonin, dopamine, and then you start feeling better. It's all under your control. You have the power to create whatever life you want. And when you start realizing, then life gets a lot more fun. And that's where I'm at right now. And let me tell you, it's a lot more fun.
Yes. Well, that's beautiful. And I mean, I want to thank you for following through, for taking the leap of just starting your own business. I know it's been, 10 years. But I can honestly, I didn't have the privilege of knowing you before this. And I had seen the videos and I seen, your page and what you were doing, but never a conversation like this. And I can totally see why you won the award. And it's just, just from, I know this podcast is really going to help a lot of women because your story resonates to a lot of moms and a lot of women that, we go through this identity crisis and life happens and you're a mom, you're a daughter, you're a wife, you are a teacher, you're all of these things for so many people, but you're not you.
Right.
So you have to, start, digging into who is it that you are, what do you stand
and
for?
what do you want to be, more importantly, because it's not genetics. You could be whoever, whatever you want. And I think we don't know that. And once you find that out, you're like,
I can make myself like the person that I want. What do you mean? Yeah. And now that we have touched into you winning the award, how do you feel? Like, how were you? I'm pretty sure you weren't surprised.
Oh, I was very surprised.
But because you maybe saw it coming from all the hard work that you've done. How was that?
So that was really cool. That and total surprise. Let me tell you. I have this one member, Kathy. She is an amazing person. I love her so much. She tells me back in December, hey Crystal, and she started with the 6-week challenge. She had seen a lot of my mindset stuff and had sent me a message and says, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for change. Fantastic. Come on in. And when people are that ready and they go through this program, it's totally transformational. It's just, I'm so blessed. So she goes through 6 weeks. She just starts feeling so much better. She starts feeling empowered. She has, and that's what I wish people would see. They have so much potential in them. God gave us all these amazing gifts. And we sometimes either forget or don't realize we have them. She can write. She is a writer, an amazing, eloquent, she can write, right? So she tells me in December, and she's like, I saw this thing that I'm going to nominate you for. And I said, cool. And that was it. Months passed by. I didn't even know if she was going to do it or all. She gave me like a rough draft of it at some point, but she's like, here's the rough draft. Well, I cried. It was beautiful, right? But she gave it to me. So I figured, well, maybe she like didn't, I don't know. Maybe she forgot, or I have the rough draft and she forgot to get it back from me. And because it was sitting in my car for a long time. So time passed, whatever. Then around February, I think she said, she goes, Crystal, you're a finalist. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, but I think it's a scam. She's like,
I'm sorry, I signed you up for a scam.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know about it. It just seems a little unreal. And I was like, okay. I said, well, they're not asking you for money or anything. She's like, no, they're not asking me for money. I said, okay, well, let's see where it goes. She goes, okay, they're going to want a Zoom call. I said, cool. She goes, but they want it here at the gym. I said, okay, well, maybe they want, me to show the camera. I don't know. So that day that the Zoom call was scheduled, I was like, Kathy, I haven't gotten like a link or anything. And she's like, well, maybe it's a scam. Like, she just kept saying that over and over. It was hilarious. And I was like, Kathy, you need to trust more. She goes, trust no one. She's hilarious. Oh, I love her to death. So it's the day that it's going to be the Zoom call. So I gave the 5 a.m. class the way I always do. And then I just stayed because they're going to, call me on so I was in the back office. I was working on some ads, hair tied back, full of sweat still, in my workout clothes, no makeup whatsoever. And then Kathy gets there and she's like, oh, I just want to be here for the Zoom call. I said, cool. She goes, but you keep doing what you're doing. I was like, fabulous, because I need to get these ads out. So then her husband comes because he's going to help replace one of the lights that went out. So she's like, he has some questions. So I go and he's like, okay, do you want me to move this? And so he's talking. So then cool. Well, then Linda gets there and Linda's all dressed up. And I'm like, wait a minute. I go, what are you doing here? Well, Linda can't lie to save her life. And she goes, I left my earphones here. And I was like,
no, you didn't.
No, I did not. I said, but I'll play along.
Yeah.
Well, where are they? Are they here? So I was like, how long is she going to let me play on? Well, she keeps letting me. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go get these ads done. So I'm like, okay, well, you keep looking for them. I'm going to go work on this stuff. And they were like, yeah. So then I sit and I'm like, okay. And then Kathy goes, Crystal, Mundo has another question. And I was like, okay. So I go. Estela Casas walks in with 2 camera crews, flowers, balloons, all this stuff. And I'm like,
surprise!
I have no makeup. Like, that's just the first thing. I have no makeup on. But I see her. I'm like, oh my God, you're Estela Casas. And she's like, yeah. So she's like, you won the Remarkable Woman contest. And I was like, what? I thought I was a finalist. She's like, no, you won the whole thing. You're heading to California. And I was like,
yay!
What? And they're like, how do you feel? And I was like, what? It was just, I couldn't believe it. So then she reads the final draft of Kathy's letter, and Kathy just poured her heart into it. But again, fabulous writer. So I just couldn't believe it. They had these flowers for me, these balloons, and I was just so grateful that I get to do this. And then I get an award for it. Like, I get to do what I love. I get to help people. And then I get an award for it? Like, what? That doesn't even make sense, So the hardest part was like, okay, but you have to keep this quiet until April 1st. It was like February. I was like, what?
Don't ask for that.
Yeah. So then I got to go to the station where they were going to reveal the winners. That was a little awkward too, because the other 4 finalists were there. Well, they didn't know, and they were all excited, and I was like, hi. Yeah. So then they announced me, and they did a whole interview with me, and it was so awesome. Monica Cortez is super humble and awesome. Like, you would think she'd be all conceited or stuff, because she's a pretty big deal. Super humble and sweet. And all the people there, I was like, you guys must have a good boss, because you guys seem to enjoy your work environment. They're like, yeah, he's really good. And I was like, man, that's awesome. So just, I get to do these really cool things. I'm just grateful and blessed, and I thank God every day. And then the trip itself, we were treated like royalty. All of us, it was 125 women from all throughout the United States. And we were just like, how did this happen? And we're so used to helping, right? The guy says, you guys need to quit asking us how you can help. This is for you. You enjoy it. They were just so good to us. And then just meeting these other women. But I have to say, yes, being around these remarkable women was awesome, but I'm around remarkable women every day of my life. I am just so fortunate.
And what's nice for you? I mean, now that
so much.
Now that you have all this fire, I mean, you've always had it, but now I feel like maybe with this, ignited a little more. So what do you think it's nice for you?
Quite a few things that I have stirring. So I created this program for obese people. I had a student who brought her mom to me a few years back, and her mom struggled with obesity. It was over 500 pounds. And it helped me understand what someone at that weight is going through and how to help them. So fast forward to now, I had another lady who wasn't quite as heavy, but she did need to lose, quite a bit of weight, and came in, trusted me with this. Well, she is doing phenomenal, but it was just a 6-week program. So towards the end of it, she was like, Crystal, and I was like, yeah, okay, let me figure this out. So I've created a whole year program for people that are 300 plus pounds, and it's virtual, because someone that weighs over 300 pounds is not going to walk into a gym. No. They don't feel comfortable. It's hard even being 50, 60 pounds overweight. Imagine being over 300 pounds. And so I've created this amazing program that's virtual so I record myself doing workouts, because they can't do the crazy stuff, right? So they need to start off something that's still challenging, but doable. Mm-hmm. And so that's what these workouts are. So I've created this year-long program to help people that are 300 plus pounds. So that's one thing that I have out that I really want to do. I still want to build my meal prep business, because I think it's so important for people to eat better. Mm-hmm. And they just don't, meal preps are like, oh, well, they don't taste very good, or, and so mine do, and they're healthy. And so I want to push that program a little out. My mental health Saturday cyclings are doing really well, but I want to add a teenage one, because right now the suicide rates are through the roof. And so I want to add something for teenagers. And then it ignited before I left teaching, I wanted to start a nonprofit called TriFit. And so TriFit, it had 3 parts to it, hence the try. So when I was a teacher, I mostly taught bottom of the barrel kids, the kids that were severe discipline problems, that had failed multiple classes. And those are the kids that nobody wants to deal with, right? So we have STEM programs for all the kids that are getting into STEM and all this empowerment. But those kids, they just kind of fall through the cracks. And they're the ones that end up in our prison system. And they're the ones that are causing all this havoc, because no one wants to deal with them. So my idea was to give me 10 of your worst kids, the kids that teachers hate, and hate's a strong word. And most teachers, it has to be a really bad kid for you to just completely, right? So I want those. Give me those. And I want them to go through a cycling class 3 times a week, because these kids need an outlet. They have so much anger or so much energy, and they don't know what to do with it. And that's why they act a fool. So we give them cycling classes 3 times a week, but kind of in the style that I do the mental health, where it's, let's focus on releasing all of this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then I found out that most of these kids have been past their whole lives, and they don't know how to read. Mm-hmm. When I found that out, that I had kids that didn't know how to read, still in this day and age, how? Yeah. So a reading program. And if they do know how to read, then there's no harm in strengthening their reading skills. But most of them, I can guarantee you don't know how to read. And then a therapy component, but like the way they do in AA, where it's group therapy, not just with an individual therapist, because it's hard to find a therapist that's really good, that's going to work with these kids, right? So like a group therapy. But here's the best part of it. Once they go through this program, it's the first time that's you have to hire outside people. But after that, they become the cycling instructor for the next group. Mm-hmm. They become the reading tutor for the next group. And they become the therapy leader that leads the conversation for the therapy. Mm-hmm. And then you just pay it forward. And you just imagine what that would do. When I first thought the idea, it was possible that I could get it funded, but I couldn't get a principal to let me put it into the school. Mm-hmm. That was the hard part. And I'm thinking that should be the easy part. You would think principals would be like, yes, please save these kids. So in talking with all these women that I just met, I reached out and I said, hey, would you be able to help me start the nonprofit? Because I don't really know how to. And I think I registered with the state because every year I have to go claim that it didn't make any money. So I did something. But I need to work on getting it to 501c3 status, right? And how to navigate that. So that would be something I would really love to.
That's beautiful.
To incorporate. I also at some point want to run for the school board because there's a lot of ideas I have to improve education. I can't believe no one on the school board has ever, they're not teachers, they've never been a teacher. How would you be able to, it doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly.
So a lot of plans, a lot of things going on, a lot of things I want to do. I'm just excited.
That's really exciting. I mean, I just recently, I think about a day ago, or I don't know when prom was for Socorro High School. Two kids were met each other. They went into conflict, and one kid ran over the other kid, and unfortunately, that little kid died. But we go back into that there's no mentor, there's no someone to guide them, somewhere to outlet whatever they have, and unfortunately, then people go through this, which is really, really sad. And
exactly.
With your program, I'm pretty sure it would help a lot of kids, because they don't know what they don't know, and they just follow whatever. Fortunately, sometimes also the parents aren't there. It's the grandmas that are taking care of the kids, or the aunt and the uncle, or they're just going from house to house, and it's really sad. So,
and then it's a cycle. And it's like we gotta teach these kids they can break the cycle. It doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly. And just to finish off, I want to call this the rapid fire. Crystal in the mirror. That's what I called it. A mantra, and you can answer with like a short answer to maybe like.
I'll try my best.
Because that's the point of the whole of the game. Like rapid fire.
Yeah.
Whatever the first thing that comes into your mind.
Let's do it.
A mantra you live by.
Leave everything better than you found it.
Awesome. A moment you'll never forget.
Well, my son being born, of course, because that's my whole world. The day I got the keys to the gym, our first day that we opened, and the remarkable woman thing, every Saturday with my people. But okay, that was a lot.
No, I love it. I'm here for it. A woman who inspires you.
My great grandmother was, she raised her kids, then she raised my mom, and then she raised me. And so she was so full of love, and her mantra was todo por las buenas, which means always through the good. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of similar to, you can attract more bees with honey than you can with, what's the saying? Ants more, I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, I know what you mean.
So I've really learned to always through the good. When you have conflict, again, perspective, and always through the good. So I would have to say my great grandmother.
I love that. One thing you will tell your younger self.
We had to write a whole letter to our younger self as part of this, and it's I love you. I love you. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah. What does power mean to you?
To me, power is the ability to help others. Mm-hmm. I think women are more nurturers, and so our idea of power is a little different than men's idea. Mm-hmm. But if you have true power, it's because you can inspire someone else. That's true power.
If a woman's listening right now and needs a push, what do you want her to hear today?
Do it. Just do it. Just do it. Get out of your comfort zone. It's scary, but that's when there's I think Ed Milet says, Tony Robbins says, if you can't, you must. Mm-hmm. If you can't, you must. And just keep thinking that. What do you want out of life? What do you want at the end of your life to look back on and say, what'd you do?
Yeah.
And we're better together. So
yes.
Let's just help each other out and do it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed this conversation. I could probably be here for hours
I know.
and hours.
I was like, we can just keep going. I have lots of stories.
You're so inspiring, and you can tell that you care. That it's not just a business, and I think that's something that we need more of, because sometimes with businesses,
we become a number, unfortunately. Like even in the medical system, in just gyms, work, whatever. And then, but when you shift that focus on just seeing people as numbers, but seeing them as people and wanting to make a good, change in their lives, it transforms everything. Like it's no longer about that thing. It's so much more,
and fulfillment. It's fulfilling, which is the key to life. Like, why live if you're not being fulfilled?
Yeah. And so, for the people listening, where can they find you?
All sorts of places. So on Facebook, Extreme Core Fitness. On Instagram, it's also Extreme Core Fitness, but there's the underscores between Extreme and Extreme Core, and then between Fitness, Core and Fitness. So on Instagram, we're on YouTube, which now we follow each other. We are on, Twitter, we're on, TikTok, we're on all the things.
Where's your gym?
The gym is 125 North Canazo. So it's in Horizon, and it's in the Vista Market Shopping Center.
Okay.
So we're right in the corner.
Oh, awesome.
We have 5 a.m. classes, which are the ones that I give. We have 8 a.m. classes, which are the beginner classes, and then we have 5:30 p.m. cycling and 6:30 p.m. boot camp. The Saturdays, again, are free for the whole community. Every Saturday at 8, just reserve your bike early, so you make sure you get one. And if you reserve a bike and can't make it, please cancel it out so someone else can make it. So those are the classes. The gym itself, so there's a weight room that's 24/7.
Okay.
So that's available as well. And then the website is really cool. I have an awesome designer. Oh, it's me. I've had to learn, let me tell you.
Yeah, I know.
I know how to fix water fountains. I know how to, let me tell you.
Yes.
But that's www.extremecorefitness.club, not .com, but .club. And remember, extreme is with no E, so it's XTREME, Core Fitness.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here again. And follow her, follow us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you.